why we are here is because I've got some strong opinions about vision. And I have defined vision as something that's attainable, sustainable, compelling. It's the thing that we want. Okay. So conceptually, the thing about vision is not a vision statement, but the thing about vision is progressive. You have a vision for, like if you're playing football, you have a vision to complete the next pass that you want to throw, but you also have a vision to be ahead by halftime. And then you have a vision to win the game. And then you have a vision to make playoffs. And then, of course, the NFL's ultimate ambition, right, to win the Super Bowl. So one of the things that I find most commonly challenging is this idea that vision is not static, because a lot of times we want it to be written down and we want to know that's the vision. But the truth is, vision is the thing we want, and we constantly want new things. And so part of addressing that is to recognize we have a field of vision that includes outcomes and outputs, because that's the things we will do along the way. So going back to the football analogy, we're going to make some passes, we're going to run some plays, we're going to have special teams kicker. Like, we've got all these different things we do, and we measure success in different ways. So that's a part of the field of vision and how we think about, especially as leaders, as business builders. There's many things that we have to look at. So the marketer maybe is only looking at marketing, the operations guy is only looking at operations, but we have to see a bigger field of vision. Then there's the vision statement itself, which is our declaration of intent of the future state we're trying to build. Okay. So vision is always forward-looking, and it's the thing you want. A vision statement is really forward-looking, and it's the value you want to create, right? It's the intended transformation you're going to create. So as a result, I like to think about the simplicity of, we're going to have a lot of visions along the way that we want. And ultimately, we have this idea of like, make it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. That make it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro or whatever is where we start to identify a vision statement, because we're being descriptive. We understand kind of what the end state looks like. It's going to be quite a ways out, but there'll be things we're going to do along the way that are very subjective as we try to get to the mountaintop, right? One path could be over the river through the woods. Another path could be a helicopter dropping us in at base camp. Like, there's a lot of paths that we might do. As a result, those paths need to be understood in a different context. And, I like to think about these as value horizons. So things we're going to do and achieve at really critical points in the venture to get where we want to go. And there's, in my mind, always this sort of idea of like a near-term vision, things that we can see pretty clearly, a midterm vision somewhere in that 3 to 5 year range, and then long-term is, 10 years plus. Some people think 5 year plus is long-term. We don't have to argue which one's better. But basically, we have things that are going to progressively change over time as we grow and mature and things like that. So as we're looking at this graphic, what's important here is this doesn't mean your business year one, unless you're currently in your business year one. If you're already running a business and you're at year 5, then 1 year to you would be year 6, this year of 2025. Year 7 for you is going to be 2027, year 2, right? Like, so as we walk this out, this is intended to be this 12 months, then 24 months, 36 months, and so on. Okay. So this is how I want to get you oriented into thinking visually about like this journey that you're on and what vision is ultimately supporting. Does that make sense? Vision is supporting a journey from where you are now into the 10-year future, the 5-year future, the 3-year future. Okay. So nothing new and exciting, I'm sure, but inside that we have a big ambitious goal, and our big ambitious goal is almost never the end state. It's the thing that we're really seeing and understanding. So like I was talking to a startup the other day, and they defined an end state as 5 to 10 years. They want to exit as an IPO over $1 billion valuation, yada, yada, yada. That's kind of way out here. Yeah. So big ambitious goals, for example, for them was they wanted to get to 100 customers paying the full rate on their platform as a service. And so their big ambitious goal was like 100 customers paying the normal rate, while they're like further out goals, they know they need to have way more than 100 customers, right, as they quantify that. And so their vision statement isn't quantifiable in that sense, but they could have a huge goal way out here. So the distinction is, I just want to put this concept in your mind that when you're thinking about a big ambitious goal, usually that's in this 1 to 3 year space, because it's the thing you understand the most right now that is really, really ambitious. Now you could have, like Jim Collins would suggest, your big big, hairy, audacious goal way out here. Like we want to change the world and be in 20,000 homes by, whatever, right? Like you could have some big ambitious goal way out there. But that's kind of where we get oriented in most cases. So as we use these terms now across the way here, I want to help you kind of understand as we build a vision statement, because that's a part of the workshop activity. You're going to build your own vision statement, and it's the vision statement way out here by the mountain or way out here at the end of winning the Super Bowl or whatever, right? This is how we can look at building our vision statement. And some of the questions we might challenge ourselves to understand, what do we mean when we write a vision statement? And I've got prompts that help you get this out, because nobody wants to look at a blank canvas and ideate a fresh sentence from scratch. So these are set up to help you see and understand how we might find the normal structure of a vision statement to get started with, because we want to make progress, not perfection here. We want to just get our ideas out so that we have signals we can work from. Okay, so these are 7 different things you might consider. And typically you'll pick 2 or 3 of these vision statements and start rough drafting them. So you might have, for example, statement 3. You might do a couple of different variations of statement 3. You might also like statement 5 because you've got some timelines in mind. So this one maybe fits for you as well. And you might ideate 2 or 3 of each of these, generating a total of 5 or 6 vision statements as a part of kind of workshopping this. Okay, so I just kind of want to tell you how this is going to be as an experience. Do not get hung up on being perfect. You can continue to revisit this. So all I did for you was put those over here in text. That's editable. And you can duplicate this with a selection and hitting Control C, Control V, right? That duplicates just like anything else. So this material is for you guys to make the best of. And I'm zooming through this because I know some people like to see the big picture before they get into the details. So then there is your purpose statement. Your purpose statement is not the vision statement. Your purpose, right, is focused on your why, whereas the vision is more around the what. You're, looking at purpose that clearly articulates your current state, not necessarily the future state. It's an aspirational thing. It drives focus for some really interesting, idealistic change you want to make in the world. Typically it's we want to make a dent. And so the purpose here is your reason to exist. It's your why. It's your big reason to do what you do in your business. So some of you consultants and experts that are shifting out of corporate, now you have to define your purpose in a very different way, right? Like, so my purpose is to equip leaders. And so I want to be a leader of leaders so that I can equip leaders to make their meaningful impact and multiply impact from me through them to their clients, right? So that's my purpose, is to equip, educate, and lead other leaders to make their impact, right? So then some scripts here, prompts that you can use as well for how to define your purpose statement. And then again, just making the text available for you already pre-written. Okay, so then if you have not done a big ambitious goal before and you're like, what does this mean? I need to think about that. I want to get like a little more tactical with it besides just a big goal. These are some questions you can ask yourself to dial into that. There is no real definition that is quote unquote right or wrong. This is just your big thing that's going to drive you forward in time to make a big impact. Okay, and motivate you. So this is an extension of this idea of vision is the thing that we want. Well, your big ambitious goal rolls up several things that you want. Okay. Then we can't succeed without guardrails to guide our decision making. And so that's where core values come in. We won't have time today to get into core values, but because you are on this journey for vision building, you can't really build your vision without core values. And so I'm wanting you to be able to workshop your core values outside of this time together so that you can get really clear on what is in your DNA as you're building and leading your organization. And one real quick thing, it's not about aspirational, right? It is the thing that's actually true in your organization and would be true over time. They're usually demonstrated by your best employees today or by the employees that you're going to hire in the future. So you will hire, your best hires will always be hires that already have the values that are your core values. Okay. Then lastly, as you're thinking about outputs and outcomes, I've got these kind of defined down here just because some people aren't using these words regularly. This will help you kind of get grounded in outputs versus outcomes. So an output example, build a bridge. It's a thing, launch a product, make a course, create software. The outcome itself, other than the output, the outcome is enabling faster and safer transport for community. So like my software as a service is a output. The outcome, though, is enabling 2,000 experts and coaches to be able to manage their clients in a more structured way so that they can generate sales faster, close deals faster, and understand with clarity what their clients need faster, right? So that's an outcome that is generated by the software. So this is just to help you, again, navigate the entire context you're in as you build your vision. What I found was sometimes simplicity and something very easy to repeat could have a huge breakthrough in your business. And over the last 20 years, I have found 4 questions repeatedly asked in the right context, no matter if it's about being stuck or triaging a situation or a crisis or driving clarity for strategic planning. These 4 core questions have been instrumental to my success as a leader, as a business builder, and as a mentor. I use this with my clients, and I hope you'll use it too. I call it the 4 core questions. It's available at 4corequestions.com, and it's a free download and a series of videos that you can watch and learn the process. I promise you it will make an impact on your business if you implement it. It is very simple to understand and follow. It's very simple to do, but it makes tremendous results when you apply it and when you teach others in your organization to do it as well. Check out 4corequestions.com. So a couple of assumptions I've made is we will not be able to cover everything today. I normally spend a whole day working through this and collaborating and all kinds of wonderful discussion. But I wanted to give you the tools so that you continue to work on the right things as you structure this. And so now we can get into the actual activity, which is going to be this central section here that kind of has the multicolored sticky notes and this text box. As I'm getting Chris's board ready here, I'm sorry, was it Spivey, Chris Spivey?
Yes.
Thank you. So in that central section where the multicolored stickies are, those would be just like a post-it note in the meeting room if we were on a whiteboard together. What I want you to do is really simply look across those columns a year from now, 2 years from now, and so on. And I want you to just declare what you want. Okay. So you have the power as the entrepreneur, the leader, the owner to truly bring forward anything you want. If one of the things you want is to work a half a day, 3 days a week, put it in there, right? If one of the things you want is to be acquired at the end of 5 years, put it in there. If one of the things you want is a fully remote team, and they're all, none of them are FTE employees, put that on there. If you want a certain income by a certain date, if you want a number of customers, if you want a technology built, a product launched, a partner earned, any of those things, you want to list those things that you want that are meaningful to the path of progress for you to build your business. Okay. So I wouldn't put things like, I want a thriving organization. That is so BS. Don't clog your screen with BS. Okay. It needs to be clear. It needs to be something you understand what it means. If you want to launch a product, I'll give you an example. A friend of mine wanted to do a modular beverage container. So this is 12 ounce and you can have a little snap on for an 18 ounce. So I'm just showing him a little screen here. This is what he wanted. He originally called it a koozie cooler, a plastic koozie cooler. Right. But he knew what it meant. So he could say, I want my koozie cooler to be in Walmart by year 2. Right. Now, he hadn't even built it yet, but he had an idea of what it was. The importance here is he called it a name. He knew what he meant by it. He didn't say, I want a product in Walmart in 2 years. Okay. Because if we don't even know what that product is, then we need to be careful making those kinds of like generic claims because it's really hard to guide us down the path. All right. So as an activity where I'm going to stop talking so that you guys can think in your mind, right? Pull forward. What do I want to be true in 12 months? 12 months, 24 months, 36 months for my business. Key accounts, number of clients, projected revenue, number of products. For you guys in startup mode, you're going to want in your first year of business, obviously, to stand up all your essentials, right? Year 2 is going to be a growth year. Year 3 is maybe going to be a scale year. Year 4 is going to be maybe a reboot operationalizing fundamentals year, right? For your next level of like expansion, right? Whatever those things are, write those out as I want statements. One thing I just want to caution on anybody who's at the stage of sorting a business plan out, when you appeal to a banker who wants to see a business plan for their purposes, I just want to remind you that the bankers don't act like VCs, right? The VCs want a 10-slide deck and they want to see that you're ambitious and you want to go out there and make something big happen. And that looks very attractive and they can get their multiple out of it. A banker wants you to go the opposite direction, make sure it's very risk adverse, very conservative, that you've done your due diligence to organize your thinking and to de-risk and clarify your perspective. So I just want to comment for anybody who's going back and forth between these two worlds. A banker is going to tend to make you a conservative visionary and make it quote unquote practical. Like, if you want my money, it needs to be practical, right? So there is some dynamics around that I just want to throw out there for those that are in business planning phases. And so if you use resources that are provided through bankers and through folks like SCORE, SCORE. SCORE is a mentors group that's free for entrepreneurs, or to my knowledge, it's free in most communities. And then a lot of times you will have at the university, they will have mentors who are trying to help specifically with that purpose. Just be careful that what you are telling a banker may not actually be the truth of the business you want to run, in the sense of your big ambitious goal and your big vision. Sometimes the big vision doesn't play nice with a banker, even though you need part of that process, that mechanism to run. So there's balance to that. And I'm not saying don't do anything unethical or don't lie. I'm just simply saying most bankers don't want to see true visionary stuff. They don't want to see Steve Jobs walk in the room. Is maybe a good way to say that. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. This definitely informs strategy. It informs a business plan. It informs forecasts. It has a lot of dynamic range in that process. So let's take our next step in this process. Again, we're not done, right? We're just going to take the next step from the I want statements. We're now going to go over to actually trying to think through our vision statement. Okay, so now that we've got the stuff out of our mind about the things we want, now let's try to wordsmith a good vision statement. So as you move to the right of that board where the big yellow highlighted text areas are, this is your vision statement prompt. We are now moving over to the right, this top area of vision statements. And here we have the text we can edit by double clicking into it. That allows us to edit, or you can copy all this yellow text. Over here to the left, we have questions we might ask ourselves as we think through this. So if you're interested in this next step, you might create a sticky note and just say, like, what specific measurable achievements define success in 5 to 10 years? Okay, well, maybe that's $20 million and 100 employees and 5 F100 clients. I don't know, right? But maybe that's how you answer number one, right? So you could actually just use your stickies here and process your thinking on that as you are trying to articulate and create some texture for your vision. So that's what kind of you can do here. Or if you're like me, you might just jump right in to trying to create your vision statement drafts. You can do this directly in the yellow box, or you can create more stickies and you could draft it into sticky as well. Okay. But this activity is around working it from your head onto the board. I usually recommend with my clients when I'm doing this, pick 3 or 4 that are reasonable and use that to challenge you having to draft your vision 3 or 4 different ways based on the roughly 7 or so that we have listed here. Yeah, 7 that we have listed here. And if you choose to rewrite the same version, that's fine. This is for you to put it together. So think about this just like somebody's that's writing a book. They always say, get your first draft out. Don't worry about edits. Get your first draft out, because most people can't even get the first draft out. This is that first draft process. Let's get it out before we're worried about it being perfect. Okay. Any questions on trying to develop your first draft of the vision statement and what you need to do? Scott, I saw you raised your hand.
Yeah, I'm willing to share mine. I drafted mine locally and then pasted it back in using this. But at MCG, we envision a future where AI and advanced technologies empower community and regional banks to compete effectively with national and neo banks, ensuring a competitive and dynamic financial landscape. We are committed to guiding banks in adopting innovative solutions that align people, processes, and technology, fostering operational excellence and delivering exceptional customer experiences. Our purpose is to help banks achieve greater efficiency and unlock new opportunities, enabling them to thrive in an ever-evolving industry. Through detailed analysis of staffing, process, and technology, we strive to deliver measurable improvements in ROI and customer satisfaction. By the end of 2025, we aim to establish MCG as a cash flow positive entity. Within 3 months, we will launch a successful banking as a service offering, and within 10 years, position MCG as a company that can be sold or passed on to future leaders. Guided by honesty, transparency, empathy, and tenacity, we're dedicated to helping our clients build sustainable success and navigate the challenges of modernization. Together, we'll transform the banking industry, enabling smaller entities to compete on a level playing field while maintaining the personalized, consultative approach that defines community banking.
All right. So at this point, folks would have already done this one with the I want statements. So now we're going to do this second one here that I'm drawing the little star around. And this is must be true. Now, let me tell you how this works. So because vision is progressive, and that's why we use our I want statements, they help us on this journey, kind of the football field concept. They help us get progressively move forward. I want statements add color to that. Now we've added a vision statement, and that vision statement helps us understand what this looks like, or what the Kilimanjaro looks like, right? What we're going to do now is articulate what must be true for the vision stuff to emerge. Okay, so the way I like to think about this is these are the high value, discrete projects, initiatives, specific items that are going to become true on this journey, right? So if one of your ambitious goals was the 4 C's, right? What must be true is, well, we got to tackle cost, and maybe cost means we must have the ERP in place. We must have business intelligence in place. We must have an AI utility, and we must make it affordable in an AWS environment that cost fractions of a penny to produce these reports right now today that cost a fortune. Okay. Like those are like 4 very specific things that must be true. Okay. So Don, I know I just butchered yours, but it was the last thing that came to mind, but we want to be very clear in the kinds of things that must be true to make that a reality. And so we've got I want statements above that remind us what we said we wanted. And so if we wanted a strong talent pipeline, well, what must be true? Well, maybe right now today, if we don't have a bulletproof recruiting process that generates high talent, and we don't have a talent nurturing system in place, and we don't have our champion, our evangelist of talent as a key role staffed, and we don't have, right? Like if we don't have those things, we need those things. Those must be true somewhere on our 1 year, 2 year, 3 year journey, et cetera, right? So that's how we're going to now populate the must be true statements to really help us get clear on how we're going to know we did the right work that's going to make a meaningful impact. And we can, in theory, we would be able to achieve our big ambitious goal, and we would be able to achieve our vision over this period of time by some of these must be truths. So these are the big elephants not the mice that are running around the elephants.
The must be trues I found more difficult than than the prior section. So it's an area to work on. But for me, in the 2-year and longer, well, in the initial 1 year, leaders at community banks must be open to learning about and adopting AI technology for us to be successful. Let's face it, banking is a conservative space, and slow to adopt technology and new period. Another thing is, the banking regulatory bodies must continue to allow the adoption of AI and related technologies. Otherwise, our business concept's kind of dead in the water. And that also applies to embedded finance, in the banking as a service. There's been a few rather spectacular flops in that space due to poor process and poor GRC practices, that cause regulatory bodies to take note and get kind of jumpy. So those were a few of the things that I noted as kind of must be true. Like I said, I found myself struggling a little bit more in this area, but in terms of just topics right off the top of my head to slap down on notes.
Okay, so the next step we're going to take for about 5 minutes, and then we'll spend the last 10 minutes closing out the session. But for 5 minutes, down in underneath where the sticky notes are, that next section is kind of a couple of boxes for your vision statement. And I'm just going to screen share here so everybody can see this. You'll see the bottom box has core values, aspirational values, business purpose, big ambitious goal, vision statement, and we need to become great at fill in the blank. Okay, so that's the area of the board, and I'm now getting the screen share to load up. And again, this is normally a longer workshop with more collaboration, but you should be able to complete this entire slide with your material. And so that would be the end game. That's how we would define success at the end of a typical workshop with at least all of our version 1s. So I want you guys to take your homework is going to be around the values and your business purpose. And the last step we're going to do is we're going to write what we must be great at based on our vision statement, what the I want statements were, and what the must be trues were. Now we've got enough material generated to start to really understand if we're going to achieve this vision and we're going to progressively get what we want over the years ahead, we're going to have to be great at a couple things. And we might not be there today. So this next step is you personally synthesizing based on what you've gained understanding around here, and you're going to create down here what you need to become great at. And you're going to serve yourself well to add more color and be more verbose here than to say something like, we got to be great at cash flow, we got to be great at marketing, we got to be great at cost cutting, right? Like that, those would not be useful answers here. Like I'm just thinking about what Don shared with us on his 4 C's, right? If part of his strategy is technology and modern, if that's where his leverage comes from, then he might need to be great at bringing software to this problem, right? And so that might be a focus on AI and modern infrastructure and creating APIs that can be easily used by others. Like there might be all kinds of statements he might say as a function of how does he drive costs down. Well, we're going to use technology to do all this stuff right now that technology doesn't do. So we got to be great at technology that does blah, 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 right? So we want to write down some of the things we have to be great at. And I'll give you 5 minutes or so to think through that and write it down.
It said building strong relationships with leaders at banks, educating potential and existing customers in an effort to demystify AI and technology to create comfort in adopting the technology, developing and executing on adoption roadmaps, building strategic relationships with partners in order to be able to deliver on the solutions. And another one was identify/define appropriate KPIs to measure, the results of the work we're doing. There's a plethora more of things we can add to the list, but in the time frame.
That's great. Thank you. Well, this is really good. So I'll tell you, in my cohort and my consulting practice and all that, I'll just share with you how we move forward from this. I have basically a 5-step process. I always look at vision turns to strategy. Strategy turns into the functional roadmap. Roadmap includes all of our execution and playbooks, and then the discrete tasks and actions that drive the results we've defined. Okay. So you've done the first part of creating your vision and understanding where you want to go. The next part is, what is the strategy that's going to do it? What's going to be my committed, prioritized resource roadmap that gets us where we want to go, which means I've got to make some decisions on what to do and what not to do. And then playbooks. Playbooks are the recipes or sequences that create success, right? So playbooks are methods, systems, processes, whatever, right, that already work that you can deploy. And then task and actions are more the lower level of, like, what do I got to do today, this week, right? My task and actions that drive the results I want. So with my clients, I just make sure that we go through all those together. And what we don't have time for here is defining our problem statements. And so I have found one of the secrets to success is to be able to truly articulate the problems that stand in the way. And I use a proprietary process I call the 4 core questions to help us identify what's working, what's not working, what's our blockers and challenges, and what's most important right now, and then defining problem statements on that. Once we know what our problem statements are, defining the problem is half of the success itself. So a clear problem stated becomes a clear problem solved. And so through that process, we can define the right problems to address that are high impact. And all that focuses on impact, moving the needle, because we just don't have enough time to do it all. So we've got to do the right things that move the needle and drive an impact. So that's what our core business does. That's what I help with. If you would like to do business with me as a partner in that process, that's what I bring to the table, is more things like this to champion the right work being done at the right time. It's easy to get stuck. It's a lot easier to get unstuck with 4corequestions.com. That's a free framework I prepared for you. Go check that out. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. We'd love to chat with you there. And we've got some links in the description that can help you in your small business for impact planning and any strategic work you might be doing.